All right, man. Let's talk about Michigan football. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Yesterday beat Maryland. Maryland always plays them tough. I said that beforehand. It was a week-old targeting call. That wasn't a targeting call that really kept Maryland in the game. But J.J. McCarthy playing without Jim Harbaugh seemed to be a big difference. And I kind of think that probably makes Ohio State the favorite next week to beat Michigan in Ann Arbor. And J.J. McCarthy obviously is not 100% healthy. I think now we're seeing that's why he only threw the ball 8 times versus Penn State. It's the ankle. Also, I think it's the lack of having Harbaugh there. We're going to talk about, they were speaking on after the game on 97 Ticket, are Michigan fans tired of Jim Harbaugh and ready to move on? I'll speak on that. But as far as the game, Maryland always played them tough. Last year it rained, I think, in the Big House. Maryland played them tough in the Big House last year. So Maryland, Indiana just tend to play Michigan tough, so I don't know what it is, but Tua little brother turned the ball over a couple times. I think Maryland ended up losing on a personal foul penalty that iced the game. You really wasn't really nervous that Michigan was going to lose that game, but it was 10-23 at the half. You want to see Michigan separate like they did all season in the second half. They didn't. Two of them, I think that targeting call helped two of them get in the red zone. They scored a touchdown. And then Michigan got an interception. It was about to look like a pick six, but his elbow was down, and then that kind of was the difference. And Michigan defense, I think one of the star linebackers went out the game with an injury. So, I don't know if they was overlooking Maryland, but they played a really, really good game on both sides of the ball versus Penn State. They ran the ball with a lot of ferocity. They stopped Penn State, that exception before the half. And then at the end of the game, and then with Ohio State last year, it was all about them, and their creativity and creating explosive plays without Blake Corum. Was it the Cornelius kid that played receiver? He had a really big game. Dennis Edwards had a really big game. So, and I'll talk about the Ohio State game in separate. They're not dominant this year either. They're starting to come on, but then they're playing Minnesota, Michigan State, teams like that. They're not playing their toughest part of the schedule. They did have a big win over Penn State. I thought Michigan win over Penn State was a bit more dominant, maybe because they road graded them. But Maryland played them tough. I think they played a tough game versus Ohio State too. Maryland, I could be wrong. Maybe I think with Penn State. But yeah, Maryland tends to get them problems. I don't think they was overlooked Maryland to get to Ohio State. I think they could have had more energy on the sideline. They could have played with more ferocity. Those things could have happened, but it didn't. And they kind of walked through the game. They did enough to win the game, and it was some questionable calls in there that kept Maryland alive, but it is what it is. And ultimately, a call came up of a personal foul call, and that iced the game, and they was able to kneel. But right now, J.J. McCarthy ain't 100%. And playing Maryland, I mean, should they thought about sitting J.J. McCarthy? Should have been the question. Are they trying to save plays for the Maryland game? For the Ohio State game, but Harbaugh is going to have to basically coach Sherrone Moore through the week to try to get them up to speed on what they need to do to beat Ohio State and how they need to do it. I think he's done a great job calling plays, protecting J.J. McCarthy. But next week, McCarthy they got to do something. Either they got to keep the ball away from Ohio State, lean on their defense, or McCarthy going to have to use his legs next week. And if he can't lose his legs, that's going to hurt them. So them ankle sprains, them ankle injuries, they tricky. One day it feel like hot hell on them, and then one day it feel good. So you love to have a week in between, and then you still figuring out how much practice time you want to give J.J. McCarthy. So that's a great question. How much practice time you want to give J.J. McCarthy? That's the $1 million question. How much practice time you want to give him? That's a great question. How much practice time you want to give him, and rehab time you want to give him? But once again, Maryland played a tough game, and I tip my hat off to them. But to continue, a Michigan fan's tired of Jim Harbaugh. I'm not. I mean, people talk about the recruiting violations and he lied on them. But then you hear a Reggie Bush interview. Go listen to this interview on the Pivot podcast with Reggie Bush. He explains how the NCAA investigates. Now, one of the things that came out about the Harbaugh and the signaling thing with stealing the signals or whatever, they had no evidence that he knew about it. But on the flip side, this is why, a lot of people shy away from being college head coach, because you're responsible for everything in that program. If the 99th player on that program take $10 from somebody he ain't supposed to, $100, $1,000 he ain't supposed to, and he a walk on, then that's a violation. And then they find out and they say, well, so and so, or we thought you said you knew about it. We figured you knew about this, and you didn't know about it. You gonna still take responsibility. It's a violation. You know what I'm saying? Anybody up under you make a mistake, and they don't tell you or they tell you, it don't matter. It's basically they told you and you should have knew it. They want you to be the all-knowing of the all-knowing of a program. So you're responsible for the therapist. You're responsible for the coaches. You're responsible for everything on that program. If somebody make a mistake and they find out about it, that's a black eye on you. It's a lot of responsibility. You're a parent with 100+ kids, including coaches, including players, staff members. So if somebody, violate, or one of your coaches do a recruiting violation, that's on you. That's what people got to understand. You don't know everything, but they expect you to know everything. So I'm not tired of Harbaugh. Stuff happened. I mean, they pick and choose who they want to go after. And with Michigan, they have to make an example because Michigan is a money school. So when Michigan make a violation, they always get a slap on the wrist, so they don't give them the death blow like SMU. And the only reason they gave SMU the death blow, yeah, they was blatant with their money, spending their money on Eric Dickerson and everybody else, is because they was SMU and they wasn't supposed to be here. We all know, we've been hearing rumors about Duke basketball program, Alabama basketball program, all these programs that's been alleged to do some things. They pick and choose who they want to attack and who they want to go after. You know what I'm saying? They pick and choose. They pick and choose who they want to go after. And that's sad and true. They don't want to attack the prestigious coaches in the prestigious schools and so on and so on. They don't. And a lot of people, I can't respect that. A lot of it should be equal opportunity, but they can't mess up the bag and they can't mess up the money. And I understand that. But no, I'm not tired of Harbaugh. It's a lot of coaches that's out there doing worse, that have done worse. And then who you gonna get? Who you gonna go get? Michigan like to stay within the Michigan network. So who you gonna go get? And then when that guy's not in the Michigan network, they don't want to give him all the full support and the full utilities he need to be successful. So it got to be a Michigan man. So who next up? Come on, y'all. What y'all gonna go get? Tom Brady? Tom Brady don't want to be no college coach. That's the $1 million question. Who y'all gonna go get to fill the shoes? So absolutely not. Y'all could be, we tired of these scandals, and it's really not a scandal. One was a recruiting violation. One was a guy that stole some signals. So what? So what? And after that, you had the toughest part of your schedule and you undefeated as of right now. Not sure we will be next week, but hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you girls and guys think. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications, increase your chance, get notifications. We go live or drop video financially. Want to support the channel? Cash App, $CJ Good 313, Venmo CJ Good 313, PayPal link in description. Hit the link tree. Find me on Twitter, Instagram, Spotify, Anchor, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the whole nine. Shout out to College Sports Playlist. More videos like this. Peace.